If you're a parent with a kid learning piano, you know the dream, right? And you probably also know the reality of that daily practice negotiation. Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down how to turn that struggle into a truly successful musical journey. Does this sound familiar? Yeah, it's a phrase that echoes in households absolutely everywhere. It's the universal cry of the young musician when those black and white keys are staring them down and, a screen or a toy just feels so much more fun. This is the core challenge we're tackling today. So that leads us to the big question. How do we switch from being the practiced police, the drill sergeant, to being a supportive manager and their biggest cheerleader? See, the goal isn't just about getting them to practice today. It's about helping them build a genuine, lifelong connection with music. It's all about shifting the whole dynamic from conflict to partnership. So where does all that resistance even come from? Well, to find the answer, we need to take a look at what's actually happening inside a child's mind. Understanding the why behind the struggle is always the first step to changing things for the better. A really fascinating study from the Valencia Conservatory of Music points out this huge difference in how kids and adults learn. Adults, we use a process called andragogy. We need to understand why we're doing something before we memorize how to do it. But for kids, it's all about pedagogy. They soak up information through repetition first, and that deep understanding, that comes way later. Their learning process is basically the complete reverse of ours. And the reason they can learn this way is because of something amazing called neural plasticity. Researchers use this fantastic analogy. They describe a child's brain as a house under construction. It's constantly building new rooms, new hallways, making incredibly good at picking up complex skills like a new language or, you guessed it, music. An adult brain, on the other hand, is like a finished house. Sure, we can redecorate, maybe move some furniture around, but building a whole new wing is a lot harder. This is exactly why childhood is such a golden opportunity for learning music. But here's the thing. Even with a brain that's totally wired for learning, motivation is not automatic. This data from that same study reveals a really key piece of the puzzle. While almost half of kids start piano because they genuinely want to, a full 26%, that's more than 1 in 4, start just because their parents wanted them to. And that creates a shared responsibility right from day one. Motivation has to be a team effort. Okay, so if motivation is a shared responsibility, who exactly is on the team? A child doesn't learn this stuff in a vacuum. It's the partnership between the teacher, the parent, and the student that creates this essential support system, and it can literally make or break their entire musical journey. Just think of it like a three-legged stool. You've got the child, the teacher, and the parent. If any one of those legs is wobbly, the whole thing is going to be unstable. Your role as a parent is just as critical as finding that perfect instructor. So how important is that teacher-student relationship? Well, a survey of young music students found that only 68% described it as good or very good. Now think about that. That means for nearly a third of kids, that connection is just okay, or maybe even poor. If that chemistry isn't there, progress is going to stall. So don't ever be afraid to shop around to find a teacher who really, truly connects with your child. All right, now for a dose of reality that should make every parent out there breathe a little sigh of relief. An experienced teacher shared this gem on a forum for pianists. 25 years of teaching and only 3 self-motivated students under the age of 18. This completely normalizes the struggle. It tells us that kids needing reminders and a little push isn't a sign of failure. It's the norm. Your active involvement isn't just helpful, it's absolutely necessary. Okay, we've covered the psychology and we've talked about the support team. Now let's get down to the most practical question of all. How do you actually get them to the piano bench day after day? Let's dive into some real, concrete strategies. Music educators over at Flowkey suggest breaking it all down. First, keep practice sessions short. Seriously, for young kids, 10 to 15 minutes a day is way more effective than a miserable hour on a Saturday. It's all about consistency. Second, use small negotiated rewards, like stickers on a chart or maybe a little extra screen time. Third, work to make it a habit, just like brushing their teeth. And finally, don't be afraid to use technology. There are some amazing apps out there that can make practice feel more like a game. Here's another really powerful mindset shift, and this comes from a lot of modern teaching methods. Instead of focusing only on results, perfecting a piece for the big recital, think about an activity-based model. Here, the goal is just joyful participation. That's it. When you take away that pressure to perform, the focus shifts to exploring and playing, which, for a kid, can be a much stronger motivator. So what is all this work for? Where is this whole journey even headed? Let's zoom out for a second and look at the incredible world of music that all this practice opens up. This is the vision you can share with your child, a journey through history, one piece at a time. The journey usually kicks off in the Baroque era. With beautiful little pieces like the minuets from Bach's Notebook for Anna Magdalena, students learn the absolutely critical skill of hand independence. This is where their brain literally learns to have two different conversations at the same time, and it lays the foundation for everything else to come. Next up, the journey moves into the pure elegance of the classical era. Composers like Muzio Clementi with his sonatinas teach form and structure. This is kind of like learning the grammar of music, understanding how melodies build into phrases and how those phrases build into whole movements. From there, the roadmap takes a turn into the passionate romantic period. With something like Schumann's Album for the Young, the focus shifts to telling a story with music. This is where students learn to play with musical color and emotion, and how to turn notes on a page into a genuine feeling. And finally, the journey arrives in the modern era. Bela Bartok's Mikrokosmos introduces this whole new musical language of interesting dissonances and cool modern rhythms. It really expands their ear and prepares them for the music of today. When you think about it, from simple minuets to complex new sounds, it's just an amazing progression. So let's bring it all together. What are the key takeaways here? First, remember that your child's brain is literally built to learn this stuff, but their motivation isn't automatic. Your role is to be their manager and cheerleader, not a drill sergeant. Find a teacher with the right chemistry for your kid. Make practice short, consistent, and rewarding. And always, always keep your eyes on that long-term vision. This is about opening a door to a lifetime of incredible music. And that leaves us with one final question to think about. When we're pushing for practice, what are we really pushing for? Is the goal a flawless performance at the next recital? Or is it something much, much bigger? A deep, personal, and lasting love for music? The answer to that question, well, it can change everything.